Hello and welcome to the last word on Spurs. Do not scratch your eyes. Do not blink twice. Tottenham have finally won a game prior to the international break for the first time in over 2 years. We do break our streak of failing to win our last 7 consecutive matches that took place just before an international break in a big win for Thomas Frank's Tottenham, which keeps the momentum under Thomas Frank after going through a couple of recent draws. This was Leeds United's first home defeat since September of last season. An important 3 points for Spurs, where Mohammed Kudus scored one, assisted the other, as Spurs end Leeds United's 23-game unbeaten run in or at Elland Road. And we've got to say also absolutely thrilled for Mathys Tel. A lovely moment for him, and the first of many for hopefully him and, of course, Mohammed Kudus to come. Welcome. If you're watching for the very first time, you can find us. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. As per usual, it's an elite panel that are here to talk you through that game and where Spurs are going into the next international break. Like Jason said to me privately, it means 2 weeks, hopefully, of no arguing, no shouting, no jumping up and down, but give us an hour. I'm sure we'll find a way in this show. Broadcast extraordinaire, Russ Williams is back, Jason McGovern is back, and Marlon is back from the Spurs Kings. Before I bring in these wonderful gentlemen, let's quickly take you through the match facts and the stats from Leeds United 1, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Leeds United dominating shots on goal 16-9. Leeds there busy of the two sides in terms of shots on target, 4-3. Shots inside the box, Leeds 11 to Tottenham's 4. Touches in the opposition box, Leeds busy out of the two sides there as well, 21-18. Tackles wise, Leeds were busy out of the two sides, 19-15. Tottenham making the more clearances during the game and the more interceptions too. Leeds also edging the corner count 4-1. They also certainly edged possession 57% to 43%. And this is quite a telling XG stat, which actually links back to a lot of the viewer listener questions that we've had during the show. Leeds 2.03 to Tottenham 0.58. And we can tell you that what we're going to show for our listeners on audio actually had more XG than Tottenham managed during the game, and that was Okafor's goal. So we'll be coming on to that and more during this edition of Last Word on Spurs. But look, it is a big win. We're going to open with broadcast extraordinaire Russ Williams. Russ, Leeds' first home defeat in 384 days, third away win already.
Good.
Unbeaten in 7 games, one defeat in the last 10.
Wow.
Look, let's also be real. Wasn't fantastic, but a good performance for the most part. But it is a big win. Kudus' first goal and a decisive one, and tremendous for Mathys Tel to also get his first goal of the season. And I must all just quickly add as well, no Maddison, no Decky, no Solanke, no Muani, no Radu Dragishin. Your thoughts, Russ, on Spurs going away to Leeds, a side that, again, I've mentioned, haven't lost in a year at Elland Road?
No. Great to see you all. Thank you for watching and listening. And Ricky, as you can see, he's got a lot of storage space behind him tonight. Very, very impressive. Last season, let's be honest, we'd have lost that game without a doubt. But we won. I thought we had moments in the game. I thought we were a bit loose, and we have been for most of the season occasionally, and paid the price. There are one or two areas on the pitch, and you alluded to it at the beginning of the show, Rick, particularly the goalkeeping area. That's a bit of a cause for concern. Delighted for Tel. Kudus, I thought, once again, was our best player. Scored a wonderful goal, got the man of the match as well. And look, we're not sparkling, but we look as though we've got a bit more backbone at the moment. Frank is more than capable of changing it around in the last 10, 15 minutes. We went 3 at the back because Leeds had done it. All this kind of stuff, of course, was alien in the last 18 months or so. And, Thomas Frank is never going to be, I don't think, the most exciting manager in the Premier League. He knows a certain way of playing. It's worked for him. The only thing I would say, Rick, is that this is by far the biggest club that he's ever managed, and the expectations might be a little bit more regarding the style of play. But where we are right now, winning before an international break, going to Elland Road, horrible place normally to go to. A lot of teams struggle there. I think all in all, 2-1 win, job well done, and off they go and play for their countries. So good stuff, but a lot to work on.
Yep, I think it's fair. A lot to work on. Marl's going to steer the show to you. Look, first time Leeds have lost since last April at home. But there were periods where it was much better from Spurs in relation to most recent games. There was improvement, I would say, from a technical level with the ball. There was less predictability about the way we were going to play. I thought Kudus was very good. But again, I'll make that point. Not perfect overall. We've conceded chances, but definitely, hopefully, a step in the right direction. And I think when you consider, Spurs came into the game having lost their last 7 directly before an international break. So that was pressure alone. And when you also factor into it as well, we had a midweek game to contend with. It was away at Elland Road, 12:30. Maybe it felt like, especially at the end there with the celebrations, it feels like psychologically, when you see Frank and the players, it feels like a massive result at a critical point at the stage in the season where we know international breaks, you want to go in with a win because otherwise you have 2 weeks of a lot of noise and hysteria at this stage. Miles, your thoughts on that win?
Yeah, it was, for me, it was a great away performance, and what I mean by that is, yes, we weren't great overall in certain parts. Leeds were on top, but we defended well. I felt there was more of a balance in today's starting lineup, and that helped us actually manage the game better because we always knew we had an outlet down the right and the left, and we also had Xavi in the middle, which meant we had 3 options. I know a lot of people were complaining about the Benton core and Paulinho in midfield, but I actually genuinely think it worked, and it worked for us. And it just meant that those gaps weren't opening up, and it meant that Romero and Van der Ven were more comfortable. Because look, everyone's going to look at that XG, right? Which I hate XG, but they're going to look at it and go 2 to 0.58. But how was we under that much pressure? And was we thinking, oh my God, Leeds are going to score every chance they went forward? I was quite comfortable. I was actually quite comfortable with the way we defended and how we managed it all. I didn't at one point think that we were on the edge of our seats going, oh my God, we're going to concede. Oh my God, we're going to concede. I thought that the way the whole plan went, look, Vicario's got his issues, but then he went and saved us in the second half. So you kind of have to balance the two and go, what can we do here? But I thought the team, especially down the right-hand side with Porro and Kudus, it was very, very well played between. But you can see they're starting to get an understanding. And actually, on the left-hand side with Udogie and Odegaard, even though I'm not a massive fan of Odegaard, I thought them two played quite well and was starting to link up. And you can start to see that the game time they're getting together, they're starting to get an understanding. So look, as we've always said, these things are going to take time. But at the end of the day, I think to go away to Leeds, who the tails are up at the moment. They've been playing well in certain games. And I know a lot of people are going to, but these are the guys who have been promoted. We actually handled ourselves quite well. And I think actually the 2-1 result we fully deserved. So I've got no qualms about today. It's just before the international break, but Leeds do have this apparently, from what they say, is they're not great at 12:30 kickoffs. They weren't great last season either. Okay. So for us to exploit that and actually get the win, we have to just take it on the chin and get through to the next game. So look, at the end of the day, we won. We've scored 2 goals today. And by the way, these deflected goals and own goals, it's becoming a £100 million player here. Right, where are they coming from? So it's becoming brilliant.
We'll come on to that for sure. We'll come on to that.
But in all honesty, like I've been moaning for weeks about the starting lineup, and I thought the Tel. I know a lot of people complaining that Tel started, but I thought he actually played really well first half, and then I think he picked up a knock. And that's what kind of why the second half he went off a bit. But when Richarlison came on, he didn't do much either. So it was kind of like, all right, we're just lacking up top at the moment. And I think that's all we're missing. It's kind of one of them. Solanke has pushed himself into this team by being missing. He's literally pushed himself into the starting lineup because everyone's looking at going, we actually know what he brings to this team and why we need him up top. But I thought, but with Kudus today, he basically showed all of us why we spent that money on him. He was absolutely brilliant on that right-hand side. And look, Porro started off really shaky in that first half. Really shaky. And he started because he had what's his name, Okafor on the left, and he kept beating him. And then as the game went on, he kind of got more comfortable with it. And it was, with Romero and stuff. Look, it was absolute. For me, it was a good away performance. and I'll take them. And I think the away fans who were there would probably be quite happy with the way it all went as well.
Yep. It's interesting, I say, because again, there's a lot of variations right now. A lot of the comments that have come from viewers, listeners, with regards to style of play. I promise you, we're going to get to that. But Jace, I'll come to you and we'll just address the game to start with. Look, gutsy win for Spurs, difficult conditions. I think you always do say, we've got a decent record, in the last few years at Elland Road. So I don't know why we should have gone there with any real fear we'd get a result. But I think the narrative building around the fact 12:30 before an international break, and you look at the recent record of international breaks and how we've really suffered, was a cause for concern. But Leeds players, I think, to be fair, they were quite fired up. But Kudus really in form at the moment, scoring, assisting 4 so far. Xabi Simons more influential, inventive in that number 10. Polina as well, that organisation we see from him, that authority. He's already the first player to make 25 tackles in the Premier League this season. I would say that individual performances for me got better as the game went on. And also quite an interesting stat is that since Frank's arrival at Spurs, we're yet to concede a goal beyond the 76th minute in the Premier League. Does that show, Jace, an element of resilience that is now being trained into the side, or is it far too early to judge that on 7 Premier League games so far? You give me your verdict on where you are so far under Frank at Elland Road, a big win before an international break.
Without a doubt, it was a big win. I think it was a big win for the supporters. But from seeing the reaction from players and Thomas Frank's interview to the club channels and that, I think it was an even bigger win for them. I think they built it up into almost as if it was a massive semi-final in the cup or something. It had that feeling in amongst the group. So without a doubt, and within a season, you have to win ugly at times. So absolutely, you have to win ugly, and we've gone there and done that. I would describe it as a very, very, very Thomas Frank style win. And we'll see perhaps more of those types of wins than we perhaps would in an ideal world want to. But then there'll be lots of people say that's fine as long as you get the 3 points. It doesn't really matter how you get them. So you pays your money, you takes your choice, don't you? But I'm probably a little bit different to Marlon. I thought Leeds were worthy of at least a point from the game, if I'm honest. And the strange thing was, when you look at all those stats, almost every single one of them is actually in Leeds' favour. So Leeds themselves feel that they should have won the game. And I'm not so sure I'd go along with Leeds should have won it. But I was a little bit surprised. Whereas at City, when we went 2-0 up, we continued to go forward and have kind of control of the game. I thought there was an element of us today that went into the PSG mode, when we started to make the substitution later to say, right, what we've got, we hold on to. And by dropping back into that 10 men behind the ball, we actually conceded 2 huge chances. And I thought, unlike Marlon, I thought Leeds would get the equaliser. In that, I kind of didn't feel that Leeds would score in the first 70 minutes. But as we sat further and further back and the pressure was coming on, I thought Leeds would have a chance to score. And let's be honest, Vix made 2 fantastic saves that has kept us out. So there's some good things in terms of the grit and the resilience. There's still 1 or 2 red flags about us going forward.
Okay, that's fair. Look, for those out there, look, we've already got nearly over 4,500 of you that are watching us live on all our platforms. If you can like and subscribe to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. Look, let's do that now, actually. We'll come on to the Vicario debate. I know we've had a lot of questions coming in. I know Luke sent us over a question that has said on this point here, Russ, we'll start with you on this. Delighted to win. Great to see that determination away from home to grind out victories. But is there an element of concern with regards to how sustainable that's going to be with out these wins? Will the pretty football come? What would your response be to Luke on that point?
Well, I lost about 20 seconds of that. You froze, Rick. Do you want me to talk about that?
I can repeat that question. So a question that's come into us here from Luke that says, really, really pleased with showing that true grit and desire away from home to grind out wins. My only concern would be in terms of the style of football, how sustainable is this brand that we're watching at the moment? Is it all just about winning, Luke asks?
Well, football is about winning, but I have to say, I think Jason made a really good point that having sat there through it, you could see a Leeds United equaliser coming, and the substitutions. Jason's absolutely right. In that the last period of the second half, it was like, oh, blimey, I know what he's trying to do, but the personnel maybe don't have it in them. But we hung on. But this is the way that Thomas Frank plays football. He did it in Denmark. Obviously, he's done it in Brentford for 7 years. It's his ethos when he was an assistant manager. He, I think, can have a light bulb moment where he goes, okay, this isn't Brentford. This is Tottenham Hotspur, one of the biggest clubs in Europe, if not the world. Certainly one of the most supported clubs in this country. And we have a tradition of playing football in a certain way that I think, to be fair, probably since Poch, we have, to a large degree, been a little starved of, save for the first season of Ange, the first 12 games or what have you. We were in dreamland, weren't we? And then we all know what happened after that. And it's just one of those things. It is football. But I think because he's really quite pragmatic, Thomas Frank, and he's got that sort of Scandinavian sort of like almost robotic way, and they stick to what they believe in. And that's why, you see, apart from the Danes, funny enough, most Scandinavian international teams, for example, don't really have people who will set the world alight, because it's all about defending and being organised and trying to score some goals. I mean, we're not going to be ripping up the opposition, I don't think, anytime soon. But that could come. But he needs the personnel to be able to score goals like that. And the question is, Tel, his goal today was great. I was so happy for him.
Of course.
Richarlison, has he run his race at Spurs? For me, personally, I think he probably has, but there'll be people watching and listening who say, no, Richie's this, Richie's that. It's fair enough. It's all about opinions.
I'm not sure we many, Russ, but...
Well, maybe. But this is perhaps slightly more controversial. Is Dom Solanke actually good enough for what we aspire to be if we have a manager who changes his modus operandi and comes more towards what the ambition of the football club is? Is he the answer to score the goals? So, and that both of those questions about Solanke and Richie involve £125 million worth of our money.
They do.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I've got concerns about the goal scoring if we want to compete at a much higher level than we have done in recent seasons.
Yep, that's fair. I mean, I've also had a question in here, Miles. This is from James, who says that when you bear in mind of those list of players that I've read out there, the likes of Maddison, Deki, Solanke, Milani, Dragashin, is it hard to really at this stage find a consistent way of playing when you're having to really tweak the squad in relation to kind of every game at the moment? We are seeing this kind of rhythm, Miles, that he's making 4 to 5 changes per every game. Is it even, the element of just showing how good that is, the fact that we are still getting those results? And again, I'll make that point at the start of the show. 1 defeat in 10, obviously unbeaten in 7 in Premier League as well. What do you think, Miles, with regards to this whole situation around the style of football? I mean, look, I'm just, at the moment for me, I'm happy that we're winning. I think, again, I would love to see in time it evolve and it be more attacking and more swashbuckling. But I think, on the basis of obviously what a lot of fans went through in the last kind of 6 to 12 months, I think we're just enjoying winning again. And I think you also mustn't underestimate that feeling of winning, because for me, I get a lot of joy and gratefulness of seeing this football club win. So I'm a happy fan at the moment. If you ask me the same question 15, 20, 25 games down the line, I might be slightly different. But right now, I'm enjoying seeing us winning, Miles. Where are you on that?
Yeah, of course. I'm exactly the same. I do enjoy seeing us win. The football for me is, if people really have watched Brentford, it's not that dissimilar to what he had at Brentford. Yes, personnel was different. So like Russ said, the attacking sense of, we don't have a striker at the moment, and everyone complained we don't actually have a left winger. So the football's going to be slightly different for now. But actually, the way we are playing is quite similar to the way that I saw Brentford play, but they had Mbeumo, Tony, and Visa, and I can't remember who else they had on the left. But what you used to see is, so like what your doggy was doing today, you used to see, what's his name? Can't remember the guy's name, Brentford, but the left back used to go bombing on and he used to get on many goals. So I think what people have to realise right now is, look, the foundations are there. It's just when we start to get the personnel, we will start slightly see better performances. But like Russ said, there's always going to be a defensive stability that we need to have And what we're showing is that he can, when he is making these changes, is that we're still managing to get the results, and that's the important part. And I just want to go back on that question about being sustainable. This is going to be sustainable because when you look at the way when we played under Conte, because everyone used to ask the same question, the problem with Conte's football was we used to go down quite early and give them the ball. But with this, if you've noticed in these last how many games, every single game has been different. It's not been exactly the same. And I think that's the why we can say, yes, because when we go and play the Brightons of this world, where we're 2-0 down, we go and grit and get the win. When we go to Leeds and Manchester City, we have this away performance. It's the bit that I really think he's going to have to fix for me, and I think for everyone out there, is the way we play at home. Once he can fix that part, I think a lot of fans will stop getting on his back a little bit, because they're the games so far this season where I think, apart from Burnley, the rest of the home games that have been a bit, and where everyone's been talking about the style of play. But when it comes from away from home, I think he's got that fixed. And the fact that we're getting results away from home at the moment, if you go back to all the other managers, it used to be our Achilles heel. So fix the home form, and we will. I think a lot of fans will start to believe.
I think also just to say, this is an upbeat show. I think we're really, really happy. I don't think why we shouldn't be happy. We had 14 points from 21 so far available. We're sitting in the top 4. We've progressed into the next round of the Carabao Cup. We've done, again, 4 points so far out of 2 in the Champions League. This is certainly, I'd say, an upbeat show, but also we have to reflect the viewer and listener questions that we have in. Otherwise, we'd be doing a disservice where we don't answer those questions. But I think, like I say, when I opened up, I'm delighted that we finally ended this international break curse. I'm delighted for Mathys Tel. He's got his first goal. Delighted for Mohammed Kudus as well. Look, for me, I'm seeing a lot of positives right now. I think if you said to me before the start of the season that 10 games in, we'd be in the top 4 of the Premier League, we'd be through to the next round of the Carabao Cup, we'd have navigated 4 points so far in the Champions League group, I think I would have taken that. Again, I think, for where I look back at last season, I never was expecting miracles of Spurs to jump from 17th to just go back into the top 4. I was aware it was going to take time. If you're asking me where I think Spurs are now, just my humble opinion alone, I think we are ahead of where I expected Tottenham to be. I think as we're seeing teams around us right now, Liverpool, they've had back-to-back defeats, 96-minute goals to go against them to lose games. I think, I don't want to talk about those above us at the moment, but we can see that teams are still trying to find their way. But what I did find fascinating, Jace, to come over to you, is there was a moment in the 95th minute where Romero was getting further and further up the pitch, and Frank and the coaching staff absolutely yelled and bollocked him, saying, get back, and it kind of comes back to that point you said, about did we sit back too deep and invite pressure on us for the last 15 minutes? But I mean, you said it in your intro there, it feels like a massive, massive win to the group and a Thomas Frank that to go to Leeds, like we said again at the start of the show, haven't lost in a year at home. Typically, maybe you'd argue Spurs haven't really gritted out a lot of performances in the last 12 months. Do you feel for the group that this is as you said, a big, big win, but also this will evolve in time potentially if he's given the right tools? Because again, I know people look at the team out there, that front three, we're delighted, of course, for Mathys to be scoring. Odegaard, I think, again, we'll have to wait and see. But I think fans believe out there, if he's given a better squad to work with, that evolvement in terms of the brand of football is going to come, Jace.
Well, like I say, it was definitely a big win, but I'm not so sure he will evolve much beyond what we're seeing. And I don't mean that in a bad way, necessarily in a bad way to him. Just as I think, last year's manager shouldn't necessarily have to change. Thomas Frank will be entitled to be sitting there tonight saying, well, you picked me on the job that I was doing at Brentford. We're second in the table. We're unbeaten in 7. What do you want me to change for? And, we called for last year's manager to be more pragmatic. So he's thinking, by being pragmatic, now you want me to open up. So, I think he'd be entitled to think that way. And you know what I think of it. But it's, I just mean at Brentford, many managers have a style. They can have different styles. Pep's style is a lot different to, say, Jurgen Klopp's style, but they have a style. Sean Dyche has a style, as much as we might mock it. Where I think he is, and I use this without it sounding as disrespectful as a lot of people will take it to be, because I don't mean it with any disrespect to him whatsoever. I think Thomas Frank is similar his approach to football is as David Moyes, that the be all and end all is get the result. I don't care how we get the result. It doesn't have to be pretty. I don't want it to be ugly, but if it needs to be ugly, so be it, get the result. And so that's what I feel that Thomas Frank will still continue with Tottenham, because he's not really shown anything in 5-6 previous years that he's developed a style, regardless of the players that's available to him. But like I say, don't take it with disrespect that I'm saying he's David Moyes type of mentality, because I have the utmost respect for David Moyes, who I think is a really decent manager that's done a pretty good job most places he's been. We've just seen him take West Ham to win a trophy. We've seen him take Everton from being a shambles into a half decent outfit. So I mean that with no disrespect to him, but I think his views on football align more with David Moyes' views than they do with Pep or Klopp, or for that matter, the other end, the Dyches, the Allardyces, the Neil Warnocks. I'm certainly not saying he's that either.
Yeah. I thought it was also an interesting point, and Jess says it on the show here. You know, we're now seeing the likes of Pep Guardiola come to that point now of also the mentality is just to win. You know, we saw that at Arsenal where he took players off and they did concede a goal, but you're now seeing some of the managers in the past praised for playing swashbuckling football now, doing anything to win. And I just wonder, it comes back to that point where, because the emphasis now is so much, because of the world we live in with social media, about getting the result. I think, you know, for some out there like us all, I mean, I am at the moment so pleased that we are getting the result.
Just on that, Rick, you're right to say Pep did it, but he did it how many times?
As in win the league, you mean? Or
how many times has Pep got 10 men behind the ball and looked to hold on to a result? He's done it once, away from home, at the team that most people think are going to win the league. I haven't seen Pep go to Bolton Wanderers and do that, or you know, Bournemouth.
Yeah, but no, I mean, not to be fair, nor have we. I think where we are, I think we'd love to see more of what we saw in the City game, where we were impressing to go and get the third and the fourth. But I think also that what that shouldn't do is it shouldn't in any way cloud or in any way be negative of what we've had so far. I think if you offered us all 14 points from 21 so far, sitting in the top 4, you know, bearing in mind, I mentioned that again, you know, without the likes of Madders, Becky, Solanke, Mawani, Radu Dragashin, 1 defeat in a possible 10. I think we've had a really, really, you know, strong start. And look, we're going to hope it's going to evolve. But I mean, I think what we said, we saw what it meant to those players at the full-time whistle. It meant a huge amount. So what we are going to do, we are going to bring in Thomas Frank's thoughts on the back of the game. I'm going to come on to a lot of the talking points that our viewers and listeners have raised, just as they've raised during this part of the show. Let's bring in Thomas Frank's thoughts. And we're going to go for our first break of this show.
Thomas, well done. Big win here at Elland Road. It feels like a big win as well, doesn't it?
A massive win. Honestly, a massive win. Of course, I just felt it before the game. You know, every game we want to win, and every game, it's big 3 points. But it was just there was more to it today. I felt 3 draws. The game before the international break, where we had that little bit the last couple of years where we couldn't win for whatever reason. The Leeds away. We haven't lost it over a year. Difficult away ground. Fantastic fans. Our fans, by the way, wow, how good were they? Wow. Thank you so much for that, guys. Please keep it up. So yeah, just happy with that. I must admit, I think the first 80 minutes, I think, was a very strong performance. I think we gave almost nothing away. I know we gave the goal away. You can say there's a few bits there, but it was not like we were played through. It was like it bounced and then where they hit the post, but they will never go in. It's like it looks more dangerous than it is. And in that period as well, I think we created quite a few. We scored 2 great goals, and we created a lot of good chances, opportunities that could have got us a little bit more. And then the last 10, that's where I don't know if we struggled, but you know, they just bombarded us, long balls. How do we defend that? And we did that well. Needed 2 good saves, especially the last one from Vic.
A couple of things that you said to me pre-match that really sort of came to fruition. Number one is you said that you have to react to the moments that go against you. So look, we've gone ahead, they've equalised. Now our momentum shifts in places like this, but we wrested that back, didn't we?
Yeah, I agree. I think that resilience mentality is you lose the ball, sprint back, you lose the ball, counter press, you lose the ball, into defense, you know, all that. And then, of course, as you said, when you concede a goal where actually I think we were completely on top. I think we're on top. We just had this big chance to Mo to do 2-0. Not game over, it's never game over in the Premier League, we know that. But, you know, a big step. And then suddenly out of nothing, boom, 1-1. But to keep going, to keep doing the right thing, to keep staying in the game, to be solid, yeah, I think it's important.
And he also said to me that Mathys is the man for the job today.
Yes.
You're quite good at this management, Lark, aren't you?
Yeah. All praise to Mathys. I'm so happy. I'm almost getting emotional. I got emotional almost after the game because he's a young man that have a strong character and trains well every day. And hasn't played as much. And then I play him as a striker. Crazy thoughts by the head coach because maybe he's better to the left. No, he can also play there, of course. He's not involved in the Champions League squad. Just come back, And the way he performed against West Ham, I think was, solid, good. But then that's one game. Hey, guys. Then the next against Doncaster, better. Arriving in the right areas. Yes, he didn't score, but hey, the first thing is to arrive and then link up play and work hard. Then third game, you get the goal. Great finish, the little deflection, great connection, arriving in the right areas, working hard. Just so happy. You deserve all the praise.
And for the first time in ages, I'm going to be able to say to you, enjoy your international break.
Yeah, thank you for that. I also said to the boys, thank you so much. It's about time we can get it out of the way. We need to continue, of course, but happy that we can take that.
So you got a really great interview from Thomas Frank. Really strong interview. You can see, of course, what it meant to him, the fact of getting that result, getting that win there. Guys, a little bit of admin if we can, before we take you into the second half of the show. We are delighted once again with Arsenal Spurs to be up for the Football Content Awards, where we've been nominated for Best Podcast in Premier League, I can say it, and Best in Social Creators. You can help us get over the line. If you can vote for us, that'll be great. You can do that by hitting the QR code for those that are watching the show back on YouTube or watching it live. And, of course, also you can find the episode details in, of course, our description for more on that. Go and give some love as well if we can. Say that to you, to Ben and Sim over at We Are Tottenham TV. They are in for the Best Club Content Creator Award. So again, thank you so much for all your support for the show. And again, I will reiterate what I said in the first part of the show, that we owe the right for when viewers and listeners put in their questions to us, we have to answer them. If that might upset people, we apologise for that. But, if people are going to put their questions in, we have to answer them, right? And there's going to be a lot of things that we might discuss on this second half of the show. People might be in favour of, people might not be in favour of. But I think so far, I would say on the whole, I think if you offered every Spurs fan, like I've said it more than once now, 14 points out of 21 so far. The results we've had in terms of wins have been positive. Performances we hope are going to come and going to evolve. But I think, so far it's been a really, really good start under Frank. And I think, again, we can't underestimate how much of a monkey it has been to get off our back with regards to this international break. So if I can just pick up with you, Russ, on a couple of things Frank has said there in the interview, and there's a couple of things he said to the written press as well. He said that at the moment we're averaging 2 points a game, which is very, very good. He does feel that once he does get those players back, that is going to make a massive difference to how he is going to be able to set up and prepare for 2 games a week. Do you feel that as well, Russ, when he does get those players back? It's going to also massively help him because to some degree he's missing, like I say, as we know, 4 or 5 players at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, so far so good. He's doing a great job. He's very likable.
Of course.
And he's in for the long term. I mean, we have a number of players to come back. Solanke is one of them. Decky, of course, is another, who both have to be really influential. I think that the interesting thing with Thomas Frank is going to be the way that the club is going now, i.e. without Daniel Levy. In January and next summer, we're going to see a concerted effort to actually behave in a good way, in a clever way, and a quick way in the transfer window. And if we are we going to bring in oven-ready players? Kudus is an oven-ready player. Frank can manage him. But if we brought in 2 or 3, maybe a couple of big names, that is going to be interesting to see how Thomas Frank would adapt to that. Personally, I think that he would be absolutely fine because anybody who plays football and watches football knows that he knows what he's talking about. You might not like everything he does, but he is a pretty impressive character. But I'm sure he is salivating a little bit and he'd like him back a little bit earlier because the fixtures we've got coming up in November are
going to be tough.
Thick and fast.
Yes.
And it's going to be a test. And look, where we are now and the way we defend and the way we will set up for those games with the personnel available, I don't think we should be frightened at all. You know, I mean, it was so bad in the Premier League last season that, I mean, this is a different world away, isn't it? We just got to, you know, let him settle in. Let him come up with his ideas. Let the players buy into it. They certainly look as though they're playing for him, by the way. And let's see how it goes between now and Christmas. And let's have the January transfer window and see how we do in the cups and in the spring. But I don't think there's anything to be fearful about at the moment at all.
No.
I actually quite really enjoyed watching us today. Actually, I had a good feeling about the way we were playing football. We just looked much more at it.
I think the most important thing for me that I'm seeing, Russ, and to back up your point there, Miles, is that the players, you know, they seem to be really at the moment built in and tuned into fighting for every ball. And I think we saw that even with some of the celebrations on the bench. I mean, Kevin Danso, Richarlison, Bergvall, you know, these players aren't even on the field. And for listeners and audio, we're just showing an image after Spurs go 1-up. And you can see there's an investment there from a lot of players. So it feels like at the moment, Miles, that everyone feels really part of this and involved. And again, that's the change also for Frank, you know, to have a squad that, with all due respect, you can only pick 11 and you are going to have to rotate and change. And someone like Kevin Danso, for example, obviously, look, he's getting the cup games and getting European games at the moment. He knows it's going to be very hard to displace Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven, where also in his press conference, he said how important they are, of course, as a duo to this team. Is it great to see that, Miles, that what we're seeing from the players at the moment is there's that real determination and spirit to get these victories, Miles, and we saw that again at full time?
Yeah, no, and the key thing is, because I know you use Danzo as an example, but he's happy, like for me, he's happy to be here. But I think what was important is seeing Spence and Richarlison's expressions on that bench when that goal went in, because these are probably two players that thought today they were probably going to start. And you could blatantly tell, I know Bergvall and Papa Sarr as well, but they're kind of ingrained in Tottenham. So, but seeing Spence and Richarlison actually physically get up and be like, yes, it means they're starting to believe in what's happening around them. They're believing they're getting a fair crack at the whip because, look, we might see Porro today, Udogie today, but when we come back against Villa, we don't know which one of those three it could be. We don't know if it's going to be Spence, Porro, or Udogie, but all three seem to be happy in the roles that they're playing at the moment. Even Udogie, now that he's come back, and Spence at the moment, he's giving interviews. You can tell he's happy to be at the club, and actually he's also getting a fair crack at the whip. So, but what you're starting to see with the team now is, look, you're starting to see the spine of who's going to start, which is Vic, Romero, Van der Ven, Paulinho, and then probably Xavi Simons now. He's made a stated claim today, which we all wanted to see, was him behind the forward. But the rest is kind of, we don't know who he's going to pick. And I know he spoke about how much he loves Bentancur in there and what Bentancur brings, but he's not afraid to put Sarr in there, Bergvall in there. He's not afraid to do that. And even swap Paulinho and Bentancur out, he's even done that. So I think everyone's feeling like, as you can see in the last how many weeks, the team has not been the same starting 11. It's chopping and changing, depending on who the opponents are. And actually, when the players are seeing, actually, I will get my chance, like Tel did today, and the fact that he's emotional about what Tel's been doing, you can blatantly see that he's left him out of the Champions League squad. He thought he was going to have a bit of a troublesome moment trying to get this guy back up. But all he's done is manage him well. And the fact that Tel's going out today and he said, I'm emotional because he scored, he's put in performance. Yeah. That just says a lot about what's going on at the training ground at the moment, where he's getting close to these players. He's starting to understand them. Yep. Because at the moment, he was thrown into the deep end because he hadn't been here long and he had to bring up this Champions League squad. And there was someone who was going to be left out. Yep. And then he's going to have to pick that guy up and he's going to need him for Premier League games because of injuries and whatnot. So you just have to take everything right now. The squad seems to be happy. Yep. But as Russ said, after this international break, we've got Villa at home. That's going to be a tough game for anybody. But the fixtures after that are not easy. They're not. When I say they're not easy, not the fixtures before have been easy, but compared to the run we're going to have, it's going to start testing the waters and start testing his squad and start testing Frank as well as a manager. We're going to see, and I know we've got probably a couple players coming back in between that, Mawani, Solanke. I don't know how far Dragoshin is.
I think we keep saying, I mean, I keep saying every time I keep showing his picture of Kota Sakai, he keeps looking younger every time I show him. So at that point when he does get on the field, I'm not sure he'll be of eligible age to play at the moment, Kota Sakai. You know, but apparently he's back in training and going to be hopefully not too far away. Do you agree, Jace, on that point for you that we're going to get a better gauge of maybe where Spurs are going to likely be Premier League wise after maybe the next international break, or dare I say going to Jan, because as the boys have picked up on there, that's going to be a massive change, isn't it, for the club? Again, you've got Carabao Cup, you've got Premier League, and again, you've got Champions League. And with the fixture to come, the next set of fixtures, I think that's going to give us a bit more of an indication of just how far we are away from where maybe fans would love to see this team be.
Yeah, without a doubt, because this set of four, if you like, when we looked at the fixture list, I think most of us on the start that we had thought we should be capable of getting 9 or 10 points from this batch. But I think when you look at the next batch, we're not sitting here saying we'll definitely get 9 or 10 from that. Now, as it happens, we haven't taken 10 points from this 4, but that next set of 4 is much harder. We haven't got Doncaster at home in the middle of it. We've got, Newcastle away in the middle of it.
Well, I can tell you, obviously, what we've got next to come, as the boys have said there. So I'll just bring you back in on this point, Jess. I'm going to read these out. We've got to come for Spurs. Like Marlon said, we've got Villa at home. Then we've got Monaco away. Then Everton away. Then we've got Newcastle away in the Carabao Cup. And I think you made the point, just didn't you? I mean, tell us how many days are in between that run there.
Yeah, I think the Newcastle one's hard because we've got Newcastle in the middle of 6 days and Newcastle have got us in the middle of 8 days. And their fixtures at either end of that are a lot. I think they've got West Ham and Fulham in amongst that. And we've got, who have we got? Everton away, Chelsea at home.
Yes.
So as well as the shortage of days, we've also got the harder fixtures at each end. But that's just one game. But, Monaco away, we saw them in midweek with City. They've come back to get a result against City. So that's a harder game, you would think, on paper than Bodo. And maybe the other Champions League game is we've got Copenhagen, haven't we?
Copenhagen at home. Copenhagen at home,
Copenhagen. So that whole set of fixtures looks much harder than this batch of 7 has been. So absolutely we will it will be a much bigger test. But at least now we go into it on the back of a win and a little bit of momentum. And the big one is Villa. If you can get Villa, then you're going into it on the back of back-to-back wins, and you hopefully take some confidence from that. And I certainly don't think it's impossible to go to Monaco and get a result, for sure.
No. And you also argue maybe that we might need to go and get a result now because of the pressure that's been put on us by the opening group game. So also November's schedule. This is where Russ might tell me, Rick, stop reading. Chelsea at home, Copenhagen at home, then United at home, Arsenal away, Paris Saint-Germain away, Fulham at home. I think I might need to book a holiday for November. I think Jason's leaving for Thailand. Then he's made the right decision. Look, let's bring back in, if we can, the team that Thomas Frank did select for this game, of course, at Elland Road. And obviously there was decisions to have to be made. And look, Spurs is away from there, just to give you a bit of an idea of how Frank has transformed that before we do go into that point. Last 4 Premier League away games, Spurs 1-3, drawn 1, lost none. They've taken 10 points. You go back to the previous 11 Premier League away games before that, 1-2, drawn 1, lost 8.7. So it does tell you that, that evolvement and adaptation of having to really grind out results, get victories has been absolutely massive for this team. And we do hope that, of course, is going to continue. Let's quickly bring in, if we can, the lineup for this one. So Frank did make 6 changes to Spurs' lineup to face Leeds United on, of course, this early kickoff. In terms of the team and what he had to choose and contend with, Romero did come back into action after, of course, that injury time draw against Wolves. Also came in Xavi Simons, Destiny Udogie, João Palhinha, and Mohammed Kudus. Richarlison was given a lot of rest ahead of this one, so he was back involved from the bench. We had Mathys Tel as his replacement up top. So Spurs lined up: Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Bentancur, Palhinha, Xavi, Kudus, Tel, Odegaard, with a bench of Kinsky, Danzo, Richarlison, Gray, Bergvall, Johnson, Spencer, Davis. Russ, let's bring you in. Let's get your thoughts on the team. And also, guys out there, please keep liking, subscribing to the show. That would be greatly appreciated. Russ, let's hand over to you.
I thought in his floating role, Xavi Simons showed us what we can all look forward to. He tried the Rabona pass, but he did some brilliant stuff, to be honest. And let's be honest as well. He's new to this league, and he's a low centre of gravity player with enormous talent. And I'm excited when he gets the ball, and I think he's only going to get better and better. I thought Udogie today was outstanding. He just offers so much going forward, and it's just great to see him fit again, because he went through a bit of a period, didn't he? QT back goes without saying. Tel got his chance because of circumstance, got himself a really good goal. And, overall, when I saw that team, I wasn't remotely disappointed. I thought, well, we've got a chance here. But they're a little bit better, these three promoted teams, than they have been for the past few seasons. And I think, Leeds are going to equip themselves well. So this is an important win, a difficult win at a place, even though our recent record is quite good, you potentially can get caught. And so, credit to the players, really.
Yeah.
Vic made a couple of really good saves, particularly the second half. The only thing that concerns me about him is he does not command his box at set pieces from corners. And, he never has done. I mean, it was interesting, Rick, on social media this afternoon. You probably saw the stuff as well that was coming in on Last Word on Spurs. A lot of people feel that they would like Kinsky to be given a fair shot. Now, I don't know what our viewers and listeners think about that. I'm not sure either way, but he's a very good young keeper.
Yep.
But, second half, Vic, without a doubt, saved us. He's a very, very good shot stopper.
Yep.
So we've got to give some credit where it's due.
Well, John, Russ, just so you've gone there, let's go on that debate right now, because Matthew does ask that question to us on our question thread and says, with regards to Vicario, absolutely no doubt about it. He's an absolutely superb shot stopper. However, my concern is around his commandment of the box and also how much he unsettles the defence around him. Now, look, you mentioned it there, Russ. He made a couple of really good saves in the latter part of the game where, look, to be honest with you, if Vicario does not make those saves, Tottenham do not go on to win that game. But there's also a concern that at the start of the game, that he made a complete mess of an early attempt to get to a free kick that Rodon headed against the left-hand post, and did appear also, to make a little bit of a mess of the initial save that ended up with Okafor to follow up. So, I mean, Russ, where are you on that debate? And we'll just go on that point there. I mean, are you in favour of Kinsky giving a chance, or do you see enough from Vic to still think he's going to be number one? Because let's be honest about it, he's just been made part of this leadership group by Frank. So I don't think you make a player part of a leadership group if you're thinking of dropping him, do you?
No, but, there's very few players in, our starting 11, save for Van der Ven and Romero, that immediately come to mind, who are number ones, if you like. And I think in this squad of players now, the keenness to come on, as we saw today, these players are invigorated by Thomas Frank. They want to play for him. And I do not see at all why we have to have a number one goalkeeper if we've got another goalkeeper who has other attributes but is slightly younger. I mean, I think it's a great point that contributor made there, and I did mention it, that the commanding of the box is a big concern and has been for quite some time with Vic. But shot stopping, I don't think any of us could complain, but it's all the other stuff that, against really, really good teams could really cost us, and has done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, look, Miles, it's been a running theme of the show in the last few weeks where we've been discussing Vicario's performances, because, again, they've just been highlighted because of the nature of some of the good things that he's done, some of the bad things that he's done. Where are you at the moment on Vicario, Miles? Is he a concern for you? Look, we're coming on to, of course, Tel and Kudus and the positives, but obviously we've started on that point in the game because there was that very early on moment where there was two set pieces for Leeds and Spurs looked shaky from both of them. Obviously, one of them where Vicario really never got near the ball. So where are you on that for you, Miles, in terms of Vicario right now?
Look, yeah, I think everyone knows my views on Vicario. I've never been his biggest fan, but I never thought it was a major concern for Tottenham as a squad for him to be dropped or anything. I wasn't quite there. Look, there are other. I do agree there are other aspects in the team that need to be addressed first before Vicario. My only issue is, because I know a lot of people go, but Kinsky was poor last year as well. But I've always said this: until I see a Kinsky in front of Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, and Udogie, I will make my judgment on Kinsky then, because the guy had to play with Danso and Archie Gray at centre back. I'm sorry, he was on a hiding to nothing. So for me, I'm going to wait and that's when I'm going to pass judgment on Kinsky. He showed against Doncaster that he was good enough again and made a great save, but his shot stopping was one of the major concerns when he did come in January last year. So until I see that, that's when I'll make a judgment on this whole. Because what the problem I have with Vicario is, you get a first half performance out of him where, you know, the Roden should score. He's got an open goal. Vicario is caught in no man's land. The goal that goes in, a lot of people will sit there and go, yes, it's Vicario's fault. But you saw the difference. What I'm going to say now is you saw the difference between what he should have done in the first half to what he done in the second half. And let's go to the save that he done at the end. That's where he should have probably put the ball out in the first half, where he gives it straight, because I don't know what he was doing for the goal. He kind of flaps it and then it gets caught under him and then he passes it straight to Okafor for the goal. But then in the second half, the save from Calvert-Lewin, absolutely brilliant with his legs. Typical, and this is why earlier I said, when I saw Calvert-Lewin turn in the box, I wasn't actually at that present moment, I wasn't worried, because I knew that's Vicario's bread and butter. And the shot at the end where he parries it and Udogie heads it out, again, this is bread and butter for Vicario. They're the ones I expect him to save. If it had gone in, it was a good goal, but that's why I said I wasn't worried about those two chances, because of the way they fell in a certain part of the pitch for Vicario to be saving them. Where in the first half, where that shot goes in, he's parrying it. He keeps parrying it in front of their players and makes it easier for them. But there was also a part in the second half where I think a corner came in and he punches it. And the problem with me with Vicario's punches, they're not going long enough and they seem to be just dropping in the box for the opposition. And I think this is where a lot of people's concerns are. For me right now, Vicario is still number one and has to stay number one. But we need to, what I want to see, look, we're going to find out against Newcastle, hopefully, what Kinsky's all about, and then kind of go from there. But I do...
Nice easy one there from them.
But that's what you got to. He's got to be thrown in these deep end games, because they're the games that we're sitting here saying we're worried about. And Vicario has shown enough that he can play these games. But it's just every week right now, he's starting to slowly creep certain things into his game. Because for the last 2 years, everyone blamed Ange. Everyone was going, it's Ange's fault because they're exposing him, they're doing this, they're doing that. He hasn't got that no more. He's got, as we've spoke about all show, a defensive, pragmatic manager, and he's still making massive mistakes. But at the same time, he's also making some great saves. So it's that 50-50, and we can't, look, if we're going to progress as a football club, if we want to be aiming for Champions League football every season and being consistent, then Vicario needs to be upgraded on as a goalkeeper. And that's my only issue. But right now, he's good enough for what we have, even though I'm not his massive fan. But he's definitely needs to stay number one for the time being.
Yeah. Look, just on that point there, look, I've got no doubt about it, Jace, bringing you in there, that without Vicario in the second half, Tottenham do not win that game. They just don't, because he makes some absolutely heroic saves. One at the end from Pirro is an unbelievable save to deny Leeds United an equaliser, right? But also at the start of the game, like I said to you, and I've said it to you in the last couple of weeks, that my concern has been that, I know you've been playing it down, and I do agree we've got some other issues that we need to solve, certainly. But my worry is that in the last few games, the Vicario concern for me has been growing and growing. And I just wonder, at what point do you think, right, does this need to change? I mean, but again, I'll make that point. He's just been part of the leadership group. I don't think he's going to be dropped anytime soon. Do you on this point before we look to speak about some more happier things?
Well, Ben Davies is part of the leadership group. And James Maddison is part of the leadership group.
Yep, great
How many games are they going to play?
Yeah, good point.
I think I'm a little bit like Marlon. If Tottenham are to be a league title challenging team, if we're to be a regular Champions League team, we have to have a better goalkeeper than Vicario. And a little bit like, I'm not convinced yet that Kinsky is a better goalkeeper. Kinsky I'm sure, will play Newcastle, which, let's be honest, will be a tough... If Newcastle pick what we think of as their best sides, with the Joe Lintons, with the Voltemadas, with players like that, it will be a much tougher game for him than Doncaster was. And he made that fantastic save against Doncaster.
He did.
Where I'm a little bit with Vic at the moment, and like there are bigger issues. We would all say Tottenham Hotspur look a lot more solid at the moment. I don't think anyone would say we don't. We all think we're better defending set pieces at the moment. than we were last year. We all think we've got a genuine number 6 now in Polina that we haven't had for the last couple of seasons. And yet, going into this weekend, Vicario's made more saves than 19 goalkeepers in the Premier League. So that's a strange anomaly that we also can't ignore.
Yeah, agree.
So it's a strange one, isn't it? We can do a better, and that's not to say if we had a much better goalkeeper that he'd made even more saves than Vicario. I'm not saying that, but I do think there's bigger issues at the moment than just thinking if we get a proper goalkeeper, we'll be fine. I can't quite understand how we're looking more solid, we're better at set pieces, and we've got a proper number 6, and yet our goalkeeper is made more saves than than 18 Premier League goalkeepers. That I just can't quite understand the optics of that.
Boys, it's Tottenham. I don't know, lads, maybe it's Tottenham. It's an interesting one, again, 'cause it's come up there. Look, we're going to go and speak about happier things. Let's talk about Mathys Tel. Before we do, let's hear from Mathys, who honestly speaks about his love and the fact that his relief also of scoring for Spurs. First one this season in the Premier League. Let's hear from Mathys Tel, and we're going to speak about Mathys Tel next.
Mathys, well done. Big win here today, and I don't need to say how important that goal must have been for you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very happy about the win today. We showed a big mentality, a big work all together, and yeah, for sure, with my first goal in the Premier League this season, I'm very happy because this week and before I work a lot, so I'm very happy to score this goal.
Tell us about, it'll be your first time here at Leeds, first time at Elland Road. Crowd really get behind their team there. It's a big place to come and get a win.
Yeah.
What did you make of it?
First, everybody said to me, when you go to Leeds, the game gonna be very difficult. So that's what I saw today. And yeah, it was a tough game for us, but what I said, we show a big mentality. We work all together the first minute until the last. So yeah, I'm very happy and we need to keep going.
Thomas said to me before the game, Mathys is the man for the job today.
I don't know, but I always try to do my best. And yeah, I helped the team with the goal today. We won, and even if something can be better, but I'm very happy about the win. We deserve. We got 2 points. We did it also for the fans, for the club, and yeah, I think we deserve to win this game.
How are you finding the central role? Because again, Thomas said that he sees that you're getting better and better and better in that central role, and I can imagine it's quite a difficult role when you've been playing out wide.
Yeah, it's about always believe about what you want to do. So I always believe every day, even if I have bad moments, good moments, I always believe. And today I just take the opportunity to show what I can do, and I'm very happy.
Happy dressing room in there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy, and I hope that I'm gonna again help the team for the next game.
Well done today.
Thank you.
Love that. Terrific interview there with Mathys Tel. And it's great to see Mathys with a smile on his face. I think, could have been quite easy for a player to have really dropped his head on the back of course, that obviously non-inclusion from the Champions League squad. But he's handled it so well. And to be fair to Mathys, I think we saw a lot of that as well last season, with regards to Ange and how he protected him with the certain situations of altercations with the away fans. Now he really fronted up, and that was only when he was here for a very few days as a Tottenham player. So well done to Mathys. If I can just bring him, this lovely clip I just want to bring in from Thomas Frank, who was really pushing Mathys in front of the away fans. And I'll come on to Russ to discuss obviously him in general, but a lovely clip here from Mathys, and Thomas Frank really making sure he got the adulation of the away fans, who were brilliant during this game. Terrific, Mathys Tel. Terrific. That's what you want to see, right? You want to see players
absolutely
that are fighting for the shirt, playing really, really well. And to be fair, that is what Mathys did. Actually, on that point, he was asked that question, Russ, we'll come to you. He was asked, how important was it for Mathys to get off the mark? And he said, look, as he mentioned there, so emotional for him, so happy. I think the character he's shown from a young man just really, really impressed me. Of course, after a setback, not coming in the Champions League squad, not being an established player, it would have been very, very easy to drop his head. He's had to stay at home and train, where a lot of the players were, of course, away from home and training, of course, with the squad. But Mathys has kept his head, kept playing ever so well. He got his opportunity. I'm delighted for him that he's taken it. A word on Mathys's mentality for you, Russ?
Well, I mean, I think it's there for all to see. He's a strong character. I mean, what a body blow for him to join us at this football club and be told that he's not going to be part of the Champions League squad. I mean, he was absolutely gutted about that. But as you said, Rick, and, Thomas Frank has said it, and some of his teammates have said it, he's very focused. He's got on with it. And it was given a chance today and had, particularly in the first half, the look of a player who had a point to prove. And he got his goal, and that was absolutely fantastic. I think in the second half, incidentally, he got a bit of a knock, which is why he wasn't quite so energetic and all over the place. But I think, Rick, I don't know about you, that he's going to start against Villa, isn't he?
I would think so. I think a player like him now, because of the nature of scoring, I think he's a confidence player. And you would think that he's going to need to get a run now under his belt to hopefully, for his perspective, get some more confidence and go on a run. That's what most certainly he needs to do. I mean, just a word if we can on that, boys. We'll go to you, Jason. Mathys Tel, how great is that for that kid to get off the mark scoring in front of the away fans like that? A lovely moment for him, right, to share that with the away fans.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I think, okay, it took a deflection, but it wasn't going straight down the keeper's throat, was it? The keeper's already going full length for it. So I'm not even sure it wouldn't have gone in even without the nick. He certainly hit it powerfully enough, and he's gone for that top corner anyway. So the nick may well have helped it and might have made the difference, but it wasn't going to be a straightforward save for the keeper. I think getting a big goal like that was a massive moment because, certainly when the team sheet came out, the first thing I looked at was, where's our goals coming from? We had a front four that hadn't scored a goal all season between them. So it was important that they showed that. And I think, to get a big goal particularly in an away game that it wasn't the fourth goal in a 4-0 win, was it? It was a meaningful goal. And those things are important to him. And, he's got to look at Jed Spence as his motivation. With Jed Spence left out of the Europa League squad last season. And look how Jed Spence responded. That's got to be the perfect motivation for him, hasn't it? To sit down with Jed and say, look, what did you do? And Jed got me head down, worked hard, forced my way in. When the chance came, I grabbed it. And that's what Mathys Tel's got to do. I mean, one of the big things we've said about Thomas Frank is how he improves young players, how he improves particularly forward players. Well, there's a young forward. So, give him the chance to work with him rather than just saying, this bloke's crap, get rid of him in January, go and spend 70 million. It's like, if you're gonna say that these are the great strengths of the manager, then let the manager show that the great strengths he has and work with one or two things of what we have got.
Yeah.
But no, fantastic to see him. I like the fact that he was pushed forward because it has been a difficult start for him. But hopefully moments can take up. The big thing now is he has to start v Villa. Because after Villa, I think is the Champions League game where he can't play. He can't play that game because he's not registered. So don't leave him out against Villa and immediately ruin the bit of momentum that he's got.
Yeah, it was also crucial as well. And I'm not sure it was mentioned enough, actually, that coming around to you, Miles, that Bentancur actually wins the ball back and gets it to Kudus, who then plays Intel for the Frenchman to take that shot at goal. Obviously, first goal season for him, and a lovely moment. And I think, I've got another question coming here from Charles, who says, a huge goal for Tel, which hopefully can kick him on. He said, understand having reservations about his quality, but surely every Spurs fan wanting to succeed got a real good personality and mentality that you can't underestimate. Miles, what do you think on that comment there we've had him from Charles?
Look, with every Spurs player, no matter how much we criticise them, every single player we want to succeed at this club, no matter what. And the fact is, and I totally agree with Jason when he said, look at Spencer's motivation, because if he can look at that and see exactly of how to do it, and the fact his manager is talking him up today and about his response and everything like that, I'm sorry, but this is the best place for you now. This is where you you've just got to take that next step. And I do agree, maybe he does need to start against Villa, maybe do it in front of the home crowd as well, and maybe give him more and more confidence to start moving forward and stuff, because we don't know who we're going to have back after the international break. Is Mwani going to be suddenly fit again? So he's got to start coming into it. But we've obviously got Champions League games coming up. So Richarlison, again, we've got to manage him, because the last thing we need is injury-prone Richarlison breaking down as well. Even though you can kind of tell, I'm going to say this, that Richarlison's form over the last couple of weeks, since he got picked for Brazil, is like he's saving himself for that. That's what it feels like. I'm not saying he's done that.
We're not starting that again already, are we?
I feel like he hasn't pushed himself because he really wants to play for Brazil over this international break and push himself back in there as well. So we might see a different Richarlison after this international break. But yeah, got nothing. As long as Tel can move on and actually start thinking.
I thought we're over this now about players having prioritising country over.
Look, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's just convenient that since he got picked for Brazil, his form's dipped off a cliff. Just kind of saying, and everyone's started moaning again. All right, but there might be nothing in it.
Maybe who knows? Who knows? No, again, a huge goal for Tels we've come on to. It was actually a lovely move from Spurs. Also started off by a great Odebear ball to a doggy. The left back run up the pitch. Tel drew the defender in. The Italian cut it back, and again, a real good opportunity for Spurs to double their lead. Kudus, really, I mean, that one there, you feel if that Kudus takes the opportunity at 2-0, maybe it's a different game. I know he went on and scored the winner, so yeah. Again, but this is so typical Spurs, Russ, coming around to you that we don't go and score the 2-0 goal. I say Leeds got the other end. And look, I know we've discussed Vicario already, but, the equaliser itself is it's a poor goal for Spurs to concede. It really, really is. Vicario pushed aside Aronson's shot and Okafor was there all alone to bury the loose balls. Udogie was slow to react alongside him. Is that also the key, Russ, that, we spoke about Vicario already, but it's other players being switched on?
Of course it is. Yeah, we switched off a bit there. We've done it in the last 2 or 3 games, as we've seen as well. But the manager will have noted that, and they'll be working on it. But look, I know they had a better XG than us. Incidentally, I think that XG is absolute nonsense, Rick. In a game full of stats, what the hell is XG? But to go back to that, it was disappointing. But look, we came through and we won, and we got to be happy, and we made a good start to the season, and we're third, and we've got an international break where we can all be happy and go down the pub and enjoy ourselves
for 2 weeks. We won't be out the pub now. Go on.
No, and then we get ready for Villa after day 12.
What does Jason say about XG? Go on, Jace. Go on.
Can you put that graphic up?
Which one? Up? The one of Okafor scoring.
The still picture.
Okay, I'll try on. Bear me 1 second. Yep.
Right. So this is partly what I'm saying. In that, yes, Vicario's made a mistake. How many black shirts in that picture?
Correct.
Yeah. 6.
How many white shirts are in that box?
Yeah, 4 to 6. 4 to 6.
And the one white shirt. From what I can see on the screen, there's pretty much 2 white central shirts and 5 or 6 black central shirts. One gets in a shot in without a problem, and the other one is completely on his own to tap in a rebound. So you can have a look and say Vicario should do better, but there's 6 black shirts against 2 whites.
I think it goes back to that point again, isn't it? It's about that determination to defend, and hopefully, that's going to also be a case where that's going to come in time. And I think, we have looked, I would say, again, we've made that point around the resilience piece, but, we are still conceding. I know as many have actually pointed out to our viewers and listener comments, do a lot of chances. And that obviously does need to eradicate as the season goes on, and we will see, obviously, how that does play itself out. But I think there was a feeling as we go into half time that we certainly lost control after the Leeds goal, which, maybe some would have said it was against the run of play, because if Kudus scores, we go 2-0 up. But look, I think there was a feeling that we had to start the second half fast. And like I said, we made that point. Great to see Mathys Tel get off the mark. We are going to squeeze in very quickly our final break of this show for our listeners and audio. We're going to try and hear from Mohammed Kudus before we leave you during this show. Of course, the match winner. But like I say, a reminder out there that we are delighted once again to be back with NordVPN for the season. So for all you that are travelling home and away during, of course, this crazy chaotic period of October, November, you are going to need Nord in your lives. Like I say, Nord will get you through all different kinds of things, problems that you might face after the watershed, which we can't discuss during this show. But you can, of course, find them over at nordvpn.com/LWS, extra 4 months for free on a 2-year plan. Guys out there for us, if you can please keep liking, keep subscribing to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. And a final reminder for you that we're delighted once again to be up for the Football Content Awards, Best Podcast in Premier League, Best in Social Creators. If you can hit that QR code for us, help us bring another trophy home, that'll be great. And we're going to steer you over to the second half or the final part of this show where we do discuss Spurs going on to win. And quite interestingly, Xavi Simons Frank said on Xavi Simons, Russ, to bring you in, he thinks that was Xavi Simons' best performance to date in a Spurs shirt, where he ended up being that number 10. Do you agree?
Yes. I think we all want to see him in that position, develop in that position, and bring some of the magic that we know that he's got. And, but it's early days for him in the Premier League. It's a big difference, the Bundesliga in Germany and the Premier League here. And they'll be managing him correctly. But he's positive. He's always smiling. He wants the ball. It doesn't always come off. But we've seen glimpses, not only when he was playing over in Germany, but we've seen glimpses of what he can do. And a couple of things today. I just think he's a very exciting footballer. He's certainly not a footballer for a pragmatic manager, is he?
No. I mean, it's the point with Xavi, just to bring you in on this point, Miles, coming over to you. He flitted really between kind of a midfield role and also playing up right behind Mathys Tel. There was a couple of occasions where he really threatened to do something very, very special. Didn't quite manage it. Obviously sent Tel away early in that second half period, where there was two players in front of him that, again, maybe could have embarked in a chance. But it's fair to say, I think right now you're seeing a player there that has got the potential to shine, but maybe performances, games, he's going to need to really find that rhythm. Is that fair, Miles? Would you say on Xavi Simons so far?
Yeah, no, and look, I know I've been complaining about him. I know a lot of people complaining about him starting on the left in the last few weeks, but that was for him to get used to the Premier League and get into the physicality of what it's like compared to the German league. Because I was listening to the interview on TNT Sports at the beginning, where they were interviewing one of the Leeds players, and he's just come from Germany, and even he said it's different. So, and it was quite interesting to hear that from a player that's not spent £60 million on that Leeds have got, and even he's saying it's totally different to Germany. So, fair play to Frank and the team and the way they managed him on that left. But right now, I think he's now ready. I think today he showed he's ready for that central role, and it's ready for this system. Because, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, the balance, it was all about balance, and that's what made it quite easy for us to manage the game today, because there was balance across the whole pitch. Yes, Jason did make me laugh when he said we had 4 players at the top earlier and not one of them had scored a goal. Where were the goals coming from? And I thought that was the best line ever, but he was right. But when you've got a balance in the squad like that, and you've got a team, you can fill in the gaps, you can get those chances, and then the XG's out the window, because we could defend in a certain way, we could attack in a certain way, and look, we've got a goal from it. Like you said, Bentancur wins the ball back, Kudus lays the ball through, and Tel ends up putting in the back of the net. Who cares about XG when you can do something as simple as that, because the whole balance is right. And then apart from the Rabona, which I thought Romero was going to kill him.
I think we're all going to kill him. What is he doing? What are you doing?
However, what was it? 3-4 minutes later, he lays that ball over to Porro, and Porro gets all confused. Like, it was absolutely majestic.
It's a shame, because that would have been such a lovely assist if he managed to fill off that chip.
But this is what he can do, and this is what we're going to start seeing. So, again, we've just got to give all this time, and I think that's what it is right now. We're not that many games into the season, and everything is just going to take a bit of time for us to get gelling and get everything going. And right now, we're coming onto this podcast today, and all of us are happy, smiling again. And that's the big difference.
Of course.
That's the big difference, and all of us are agreeing on a lot of points, and so is the audience. So
and again, I'll say
we're getting there.
And also on that point, Miles, I think it's really important here. It's only fair, like, we do want to take questions from the audience, because the audience are what make up the show. So if we were going to disregard the questions that come in, there wouldn't be a show. I mean, Jess, I'll come over to you just on Xavi Simons so far. Are you seeing what you want so far? Would he end up being a 10 on a regular basis? I know, again, there's been that concern that he was kind of shafted out to the left, but you're in agreement with Miles that over time, you will find him in that 10 position. Or will it be more game to game that might change?
I think at the moment, game to game will change, but I think as time goes on, we want to see him more in the 10. I still think Thomas will want to have trust that we're defensively solid before he puts him as an out-and-out 10. But today I thought was his best game, but there's a hell of a lot more to come from him. But, Florian Wirtz has done nothing, has he, so far? I thought there was one little ball that he played in the first half from towards the edge, left-hand side edge of the penalty area. I think it was through to Udogie, where he threaded it through a couple of players. And then there was that one lovely little scooped ball over the top in the second half to Porro, which are those kind of creative, inventive balls, aren't they? That you want from your number 10. The Rabona, he actually could have played that ball a little bit earlier anyway to Romero without even needing to check back. But the Rabona probably wasn't the best idea. But you know, that doesn't ruin his whole performance. But he could have had a nice assist, and it's a shame because we were in a pole position then to get to strike a goal, and our XG then would have gone up from 0.5 to 0.8 or whatever. But no, I thought there was a lot more signs today from him, but it would definitely take him time. The physicality, the pace of the game, and just understanding, for sure.
Yeah, I've got to say one thing, Jason. I don't mind me saying this. I agree with you, never hire behind referees, but we've had some really, really, I think, shambolic refereeing so far this season. Another one in the mid-game there where, there's points, I think, you have to forgive me, there's a player that I can't believe he did not get a booking. Forgive me, I'm trying to think who it was in the midfield. I couldn't quite believe at one point. But look, everyone says these things level themselves out. You shouldn't worry about it too much, you win the game. But do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I've got a Leeds friend that was messaging me saying, how the hell have you paid the ref? So, there's plenty of
at the end.
Plenty of incidents that Leeds would argue about. Polina was running around the pitch arguing about one of the most blatant yellow cards you'll see. So, just get on with it. I mean, Bentancur goes charging. We lost our marbles for a minute, didn't we? When Polina did that, and then Bentancur pretty much flattens a bloke who's already off the pitch. I mean, what are we doing? It's just nonsense. So I think every team moans about the referees, but I can't really remember one outrageously shocking decision he gave today. Not really. That was decisive in the game.
I think Longstaff. Forgive me, it was Longstaff. For me, there was one I thought that is a clear booking. There's been a few of these this season, but again, if we win the game or it doesn't really matter. But you're right, Jason. There's to and fro in every game. We don't want to keep seeing decisions being stopped, or games being stopped.
I also think our referees, we watch the replay of it from a different angle and a different speed, and then judge it when he gets one angle real speed. It's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, there's an interesting point on that. We have to say there was actually a really good save there from Vic. We mentioned it earlier that Leeds won the ball back. They broke for a move, and then Vicario saved really, really well from Calvert-Lewin. A great save it was, and you don't underestimate again the timing of that save because there was Stack and Okafor. Waiting, but neither could get a contact again. So it was a really, really good save. And to be fair, that also makes you think about Vicario. Some people maybe don't acknowledge that type of save or what it means at that point of the game. So look, as we've said in the show so far from perfect, but his shot stopping to some, I think, again, is underrated. Let's bring and talk about Mohammed Kudus because he is the match winner. Lovely moment for him, Russ. We'll throw the show back over to you to close on Mohammed Kudus. Picks up the ball. Made a great start to his life at Spurs, can I just say now. 4 goals and assists. It's hard to think of a more physically dominant winger who is also technically as gifted as him. But again, this was a lovely, lovely move. Lovely goal where, again, shows the defender inside, finishes it really, really well. Yes, it takes a deflection, but a lovely goal. All the better for it, Russ, in terms of, I say, a great finish for him.
Beautiful finish. Great bit of skill. I think Xavi Simons could score that goal. I think Kulusevski could score a goal like that, but probably not many others in our team could do that. And we're lucky to have him. Oven-ready signing, as I said earlier. And, 4 assists, 1 goal. Fantastic. I mean, he settled in fine because a lot of people were saying, his first season for West Ham, he was brilliant. And the second season, well, he was just useless. Well, he's come into his new club and I think he's doing the business for us, and long may it continue. And he put a smile on our face today, didn't he, with that? 2-1, 3 points.
Absolutely. And like I say, the iconic stall was back. And to be fair, I know Jace, you said it actually, bit brave when he going to the Leeds end with that stall, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't in front of our supporters, was it? It was his back to theirs. And, all right, we saw him do that at Tottenham last year, and I'm sure he's done it at other places. But it didn't seem the most sensible place to do it for me.
Leeds United away.
Leeds away, not the best place for sure.
Yeah. But on that point, Jace, what have you made of him so far? Because I think he in this game looked lively really from the off. And, for him to, have that record so far, like I've said, 4 goals and assists. And to be fair, there was also a moment where a Leeds supporter did appear to throw an object at him during that celebration, which of course no one would condemn or whatever. Great for him, Jason, in terms of the form that he's shown early on.
Yeah, without a doubt, he's, as a take-on player, 1v1, he's outstanding. He really is, and the strength of the boys is superb. Today, I'm pleased he's got his goal because we do need goals from him as well in those forward areas. You know, it's becoming, you know, most teams now, they look how many Saka gets for Arsenal, look how many Salah scores, and he's never going to score the volume that Salah scores. But when you, the kind of the disallowed goal that he scored last week against Wolves shows you he can finish. He's got that ability to ping it in the top corner with a bit of power. So I think that's the next stage for him, just to get a few more goals to go with the assists. But definitely, you know, from our summer signings, he's the best one that so far, isn't he? And he's the first name on the team, or certainly one of the first names on the team sheet every week at the moment.
Yeah. I know it's been a feeling, Miles, that, you know, he's been due a goal or certainly needs to score a goal. How much, Miles, do you think is going to need to contribute to our attack at the moment, given the fact, I know there's been some concerns around, like Jason said there, when that lineup came out, where the goals coming from? Are we reliant on the likes of Kudus to be getting goals? Because at the moment, you know, for whatever apparent reason, Brennan Johnson isn't being favoured at the moment, certainly to start games under Thomas Frank, Miles.
Yeah, the problem you've got is, just mentioning Johnson there, him and Kudus played better on that right-hand side, and it's just the one position, and that's where all our goals, unfortunately, are going to come from. And when, like, he's got 4 assists this year, Kudus, already, and I'm not surprised. Even in the friendlies, we saw how much of an important role he's going to play. That's why we kind of need to see Tel and Odobert, and if Xavi Simons goes into the middle, we might start seeing a bit more of a balanced forward line. But going back to Kudus why he was at West Ham, and I thought it was very keen to mention, because Jason mentioned something quite similar, that he likened Frank to Moyes. Well, look at Kudus' first season, and it was under Moyes, and look how good he was. And then you got Lopetegui and Potter. He was always going to fail after that. So, like, West Ham fans, you know, were saying, you bought him on this, that, and the other. But actually, if we look at it, if we're going to liken it to how he played under Moyes, and we've got Frank who's like Moyes, he's going to be absolutely brilliant for us. And that's the way we've got to look at it. He's been good this season. Yeah, he's not played great in every game, but he's probably been our most dangerous player in most of his games going forward. And look, he's been an absolute gem. Him, Paulinho, and even Simmons to a certain extent. This is what happens when you buy players that are ready, quality players to go into the team now.
Agree.
You can have young players, don't get me wrong, but you also need the experience to go with them. And you've seen what it's done to the likes of Romero and Van der Ven, their confidence they've got. Porro and Kudus, I'm going to say it again, that relationship on the right-hand side, every time Porro gets the ball, he's looking over the top for Kudus. He's looking over the top, he's looking in between the lines. And that is surely just going to become better and better over the next few weeks. And if Simmons is going to be in there, I don't want to say it, I'm getting a little bit excited, but I'm still going to hold reservations. And
you told me to calm down.
I did tell you to calm down, but I really liked what I saw today. I really did, because we were under the cosh, and I saw us manage a game which I haven't seen us do for quite a while. And I think that's why I'm starting to go, actually, away from home, I'm all good. But I'll go back to it. It's the home form.
The home form is the challenge, isn't it?
It's always going to be the challenge.
We'll close on that point, because I know there's that expectancy there for Spurs. I think it goes down to what Jason said as well, that there's that expectancy there at home to sometimes play well, where, again, when you're away from home and you're more sometimes up against it, you know, whatever you do to grit out a win, it's seen as more acceptable. Where I think at home there's an expectation, and it kind of comes back to what Russ said. I think you said it at the start, Russ, you know, this is Tottenham, this isn't Brentford, so there's going to be that expectancy there, isn't it, at home?
Absolutely.
To play more of a brand of football. And I think that's what a lot of people have said. I've seen it again, a lot of the comments have come in that, you know, the game state is set up for Tottenham better when we are ahead rather than having to chase. Is that a fair point?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
These days, yeah. Definitely.
But do you agree, Russ, as well, that
I
once
just,
he does get
want
more
to
of
be
those
ahead, never chase.
Of course. But it goes back to that point, isn't it? You hope, Russ, that the more he's going to get those, as you've said, you've used that term, oven ready.
Yes.
Those more ready Premier League proven, or dare I say international based players that have shown them to be winners, like a Polina, for example, that has been there, done it and won it. If we can bring in more of those type of players, it's going to hopefully help us and help the squad as well.
Yeah, you get the skill, you get the experience, you get the you get the inter-squad respect. They know about team spirit because they can play football at a very high level. They've all done it. All these things come together for the benefit of the team and the younger players. And Marlon's right. Don't get us wrong. Younger players really important, but where we have definitely, in my opinion, over recent years, ironically, before Kudus and Siemens came in, or Siemens, is that we really haven't gone out and made the major signings. I know we spent 60 million plus on Dominic Solanke, but he wasn't a player who the other big clubs in the Premier League or in Europe were looking to sign. So that's what I'm talking about, oven-ready players who want to come to Tottenham because of what we're doing. And we've got the balls to go out there and try and persuade them to come.
Mm. Again, I think it has to be used.
That is the difference, you know. Yeah. You can swim around at the bottom of the aquarium and get some nice little young fish. We want to be up there with the big boys and get a couple in. And it's something we're completely alien to be honest, for quite some years, as we all know. But I think that is going to be a major part next to transfer windows. January is difficult on how we're going to progress under Thomas Frank. Is it going to be bigger Brentford, or is it going to be something more exciting?
We'll see. Look, before we do close, let's quickly hear from Mohammed Kudus, who reflects on being the goal scorer and helping Spurs to a 2-1 win up at Elland Road. Eventually, we'll get there.
Mo, well done. First goal for Spurs. It's the winner in a big game here at Leeds. How did you find it?
Feels really good, you know. Something I've been working on for the past months, you know, but feels really great to score my first goal, open doors for more to come.
What I loved about it was how you read what the fullback was good. So you reacted to him, the ball bouncing off him, and you pounced on him.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's not just winning the first pass, you know, it's the reaction of the second ball. And then when I went inside, I just thought short corner is something I've been practicing, you know, so I'm glad that it went in.
And your celebration in front of the Leeds fans, I'm sure that went down well.
I mean, that was the closest chair I could find around there, so yeah.
Look, tell us about the team performance, because you know you're going to be up against it here. Crowd get right behind them. It's all about mentality, right?
Yeah, I think today's game was less about tactics. It's about great determination and who wants it more. You know, it's because they were running, they are fighting for the balls. You know, and we knew that we need to match that intensity. And I think that was what the game was about today. And then I think everyone was on top today for us to get a win.
Your type of game, innit? Physical, people trying to get into you.
Yeah, I love it. You know, however the opponents play, we will definitely match up to that.
I like you front four today. Lots of pace in there, lots of cleverness. Xavi coming inside. You were switching around a lot, weren't you?
Yeah, 100%. You know, but I want to give big praise to Mathys, because I think it's been a tough month, not playing, but how he carries himself, train. He's a top professional, you know, and I think you can see today when he got his chance, he was there, you know, so he shows how professional he is, you know, as a player, definitely it's going to be very difficult about how he comports himself, manage himself, training, you know, he's still young, and with this mentality, it's really going to help him go far, and I hope that this first goal he has scored is going to open more doors for even better games and more goals coming ahead.
I was going to ask you how he's been around the place. I mean, it's doing wonders for him today, wasn't it?
Yeah, really, really proud of him today, you know.
And big win, isn't it? I mean, they haven't lost here for a year, Mo. I mean, you'll know that before you came here. So, and we now go into an international break, and we're sitting pretty. We've only lost once.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it was a really tough game. We knew what we had to do, and there's been this streak over the past few years also for us, not winning a game before an international break, and I'm really happy that we broke that today. You know, so it was really important.
Well, enjoy your international break and come back with a smile, mate.
Thank you.
You know what I love about that? That's a player that's came in the summer. And they've obviously had it drilled into them about this record about Spurs around international breaks. It is absolutely fabulous to see that level of detail being instilled into the players, that they know about that, and the fact that, you know, we've come across that and delivered, of course, in the day. I've got Spurs the win. I want to close on a question to all of you. Look, what are we now? We're at the October mark of the assessment. What do we need to see between now and the next month to give us the confidence that we're in a really good spot here? Jace, I'll start with you. What do you want to see personally in this next batch of fixtures? We've spoken about what there is to come. What do you want to see that gives you confidence that we're still on the right track?
I certainly want to see our home form improve, for sure.
Can I just say, I think everyone wants that. Everyone does want that.
And I want to see us create a lot more chances at home. I want to see the opposition goalkeeper making saves in our stadium. I don't want to go to Tottenham and have to video the goalkeeper in a warm-up to see him making a save. So, that's the key thing. We didn't create that much against Villarreal. We didn't create that much against Wolves. We didn't create anything really against Bournemouth. So that's got to be the next step, to take that to show us that we can dominate a ball and impose our will on others at home. And that's what I really want to see.
I think that's really, really fair. I think that's spot on. I just got to say there was a question that we did send out afterwards where he said, "Give us your views and thoughts." And someone said on the back of the questions, "Not fucking lose at home to Bournemouth." So there you go, James.
Well, there you go.
Someone agrees with you. Russ, what do you want to see in this next month or so as we've come to this international break? What do you need to see to give you confidence that we're still on the right track?
Home form, very, very important. Keep going in the Champions League. I think 11, 12 points will get us through. Beat Chelsea and beat the Gooners and win at Newcastle. There you go. Not much to ask, is it?
No, I'm glad you're keeping things fairly down to earth.
Well, I'm keeping it positive, Rick. Come on.
Yeah.
It's oozing through my hunky body.
Well, I don't think Jason will speak to me for 3 or 4 months when we beat Arsenal, Chelsea, and we go on and keep beating the cup. I think Jason will throw me out. And listen, we'll all be delighted. We'll all be delighted. Miles, let's close with you. You've said for you that this is, I think, for you, one of the most impressive wins so far this season. It's one that's given you confidence, excitement. You are someone a bit like Jason that you don't really show too much emotion on this show. You kind of keep an element of balance and calmness. So the fact that you're quite excited, is that a good sign for viewers and listeners?
For now. But as you say, the next month is going to be completely different and we've got some tough fixtures. But what I'm going to say is, if we carry on as what we've been seeing in these last few weeks, I know it's not been pretty, it's not been great. We've had draws, we've had grittiness, but we've had wins in there. We haven't lost. If we see some of that, or if we see some of that in the next few weeks again, and we get into the next international break after that Man United game, and we've probably only lost one, we've got a couple of draws, and we're still, and it looks like the players are starting to believe in themselves. I'm going to be a happy bunny because it's a 38-game season. There's cup games to come. The Champions League, there's going to be more Champions League games to come, hopefully. It's just a case of getting this balance right, and we'll see players coming back as well, which hopefully will get us over the line. Look, if you told me we'd won 4, drawn 2, and lost 1 by this part of the season, I'd have told you I'd be quite happy with it. Yes, the performances have not been brilliant in most of them games, but they've been an improvement week on week. And for me, the whole key to this is Paulinho, for me, has been absolutely excellent.
Yeah, it's been superb. Yeah,
he's been when Frank said at the beginning of the season he needs to get match fit, I didn't understand it first because I thought he was showing good enough it is, but now I'm starting to see what he's bringing to this team.
When you compare Miles from Bournemouth to now,
yes, it is. It's a massive contrast, and I think we saw that against Bodo, and not just him, but we saw this is what really got me about Bodo and what Russ was saying earlier. If you noticed against Bodo, it was all the players that were here from last season that pretty much played. As soon as he brought on the players that we signed, the game changed. Game completely changed. Yeah. And even for Archie Gray, who I've been kind of going against most of this time, even he came on and had his moment. So as long as we see that over the next couple of weeks, the results might not be pretty, but look, I'd love to get a win over the Gooners. I'd love to get a win over Man United as well. Yeah. And and Chelsea. But look, as long as I see something progressing, I'm all good because Frank's only been here, 2-3 months? That's not long enough. And everything's changing. Everything's changing in this club. We've seen a lot of shift. A lot of change on and off the field. Yeah. The only thing that hasn't changed is our supporters. So let's see how that carries on. But yeah, look. Today is probably one of the happiest I've been on the shows since I've been doing Last Word on Spurs. Because Russ and Jason are on as well, don't get me wrong. But
these two? You're joking.
But seeing the contrast of where we were, like when we were doing the shows with Russ last year, and when Jason's dipping in and out, it's a complete change. It's a complete change, and I think, and you can see from the fan base and everyone in the comments, it's absolutely we're starting to get on that train. Look, we're not brilliant, but we're better than where we were. So let's see what happens. It's exciting times ahead.
Okay.
Amen. Miles, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Russ, thank you so much. Listen,
Thank you for having me.
time ahead. Always a pleasure, mate. Like I say, Russ, as always, great to have you back on. I can't afford to put Russ back on that yacht of last season, so things better keep up going the way they are. And I can't afford to lose Jason for 4 or 5 holidays. So we are going to lose him a little bit over the December, but let's hope, fingers crossed, there's a lot more joy and a lot more greatness to come. A massive thank you out there to also, again, our wonderful viewers and listeners that make the show what it is. Thank you always for your questions that come into the show. I've seen a lot of people ask, where can we send our questions in? There's a thread that we put out after the game on our X account, at Last Word on Spurs. You can put your questions in there. They make up a lot of this show, as you've hopefully seen through this one, and we'll try and answer whatever we can in however we do, and we'll try and answer them to the best possible way for you amazing people out there. But look, from the wonderful Russ Williams, from the superb Miles at Spurs Kings, and from the great Jason McGovern, we have been the Last Word on Spurs. We are heading into the international break with a win in the top 4, 1 defeat in 10, unbeaten in 7 in the Premier League. Have a wonderful weekend from us all. Keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on you Spurs.